Dogmen, werewolves, lichen, and cynocephaly. You look at all of them, and then you go way back in history, and you look at the head of Anubis. And who knows where they really came from? I'm going to be going over a number of different stories today. This story was sent to me from a viewer, and it is about Nick Redfern's article that he wrote on January 10th, 2018. The Wolfen and the Dogman Phenomena. A couple of nights ago, I finished reading Whitney Strieber's 1978 book, The Wolfen, which just happened to be Strieber's very first novel. I first read it when I was a kid. It's an absorbing, entertaining, and atmospheric novel, which was turned into a movie in 1981 starring Albert Finney, Diane Venora, and Gregory Hines. The back cover text to the edition I have read as follows, and which will give you a good taste of the flavor of the story. They can stare into our souls. They know the color of our fear, the hidden weaknesses of our bodies. In the darkness, they can see where we are blind. They can tear the scream from your throat. Without giving away too much of the story, I'll tell you that it's set in New York, with the two main characters being detectives Becky Neff and George Wilson of the NYPD. When a couple of police officers are brutally murdered, their bodies torn to pieces, and even partially eaten, the pair is tasked with investigating the gruesome affair. It turns out that the attackers are not just dangerous and deadly, they're not even human. In fact, they are the likes of which most people have never, ever seen. As the story progresses, and again, while still trying not to give away too much in case you want to read the book or watch the movie, we learn that the killings are the work of highly intelligent, powerful, ruthless killers that will do all they can to survive and thrive, and to ensure that humankind does not find out about them. The Wolfen are extremely skilled at avoiding the human race, preying on the homeless and those who will never be missed. And they have done a very good job of being perceived as nothing than the stuff of fantasy and folk tales. But those aforementioned shape-shifting abilities, full moon and silver bullets, play no role in the matter whatsoever, as far as we know. In the light of all this, I wonder if Strieber, in writing his novel, unknowingly told in fiction the story of creatures that just might exist in the real world. Like the Wolfen themselves, the Dogmen are not classic body morphing werewolves of fantasy, but also like the Wolfen of the fictional world, perhaps the Dogmen too have played some sort of role in the development of the werewolf mythology and folklore. Controversial and wild? Well, hell yeah. But imagine the scenario of highly intelligent animals, perhaps offshoots of the wolf, but which are far more evolved, and which, as with the wolfen, are largely dismissed by most people. To partially quote Mark Twain, truth is stranger than fiction. Maybe in this case, though, truth and fiction are one and the same. In a very strange and sinister way, of course. That was an excellent article by Nick Redfern, so thank you to him. I'm going to be reading some of his stuff in the future. The next story comes to us by Paul Seaburn, written on November 15th, 2014. In less than a month, there have been 2 reports of Dogman sightings, one in its traditional Michigan stomping grounds and one in East Texas. Is Dogman becoming more active? Is it moving to a warmer climate? Does it have a new publicist? Who or what exactly is Dogman? The Dogman is usually described as a bipedal humanoid creature with the head of a dog or wolf and the body of a man or hairy man like beast. Stories of werewolves and dog like cryptids in Michigan date back to the late 1700s. According to Linda S. Godfrey, one of my greatest inspirations, a dogman researcher, she was so much more. She refers to it as an upright canine. That's a dogman full time, not a shapeshifter. It's fully canine, walks on its hind legs, uses its forelimbs to carry chunks of roadkill or deer carcasses. They have pointed ears on top of their heads. They have big fangs. They have bushy tails. Well, not all of them. They walk, most tellingly, digitigrade or on their toe pads, as all canines do, and that's something that a human in a fursuit really can't duplicate. Dogman sightings in Michigan and nearby states included an 1887 report by lumberjacks, a 1938 incident around the Muskegon River where a man was attacked by a dog walking on two legs, and three sightings in 1993 and 1994 by a teenage boy in Grand Haven. There are two famous hoaxes associated with the Dogman. A disc jockey in Traverse City recorded a song about a dogman as an April Fool's prank, and he got dozens of reports of sightings. In 2007, an 8 millimeter film popped up of what appeared to be a dogman taken in the 1970s, called the Gable film. It was proven to be a hoax. This week, an unnamed man sent this picture to musician Dale Boswell, taken in the woods of eastern Texas, showing what he said is either a Bigfoot or a dogman kneeling by a tree with a dead animal, possibly a small deer or a wild boar over its shoulder. Texas dogman? Dogman? Bigfoot? Chupacabra? Werewolf? Hoax? Whatever it is, it's not legitimate until there's a reality show based on finding it. I want to thank Paul Seaburn for writing that November 15th, 2014. The next article comes from Brent Swanser, written on April 14th, 2021. Mysterious and frightening cases of dogman attacks. One of the strangest phenomena in the realm of the paranormal and cryptozoology is that of supposed real werewolves, and in particular that of what is known as the dogman. Much like Bigfoot, these appear as hulking, massive mountains of fur and muscle. Yet, rather than ape, like they are described as having decidedly canine features, often with a tail and of alternating between walking on 2 feet or all fours. They have been sighted in a range of locations and serve to really go out into the truly outlandish. Yet, for as weird and scary as all of this is, even more frightening are the scattered reports of these spooky entities actually attacking people. One very weird report of an apparent dogman attack of some form comes from the site Beyond Creepy and occurred in the country of Mexico. The person who made the report says that it happened to his uncles as they were driving a cargo truck through a rather remote jungle area at night. As they made their way along the rough and rugged, unpaved road, something very large and heavy reportedly jumped into the back of their truck. And the person telling the account says of what happened next. They didn't stop to see what it was because there were no lights on the road. My uncle on the passenger side saw this devilish creature that looked like a dog climbing closer to the cabin of the truck. They said the thing was huge. My uncles both screaming in fear when they saw it. They said they tried to shake the truck, but it would not fall off until they hit it against a tree on the opposite side of the road/path. They kept driving all night till the morning, all freaked out. When they got to a gas station in a village, they saw gash marks and not handprints, but animal prints on the windows where it was trying to get in and on the back of the trailer. They told their story to some of the villagers and farmers, and they told them that dogmen like demons roam those areas. And they were not the only ones who have been attacked before. They were so freaked out, the hair on both arms rises, even telling their experience. They said they will never drive through Central America besides the cities or villages at night ever again. I wish I could have recorded them telling the stories myself. They have died already, but even before they died, they stuck with what happened to them, and they never did drugs and were not alcoholics or any craziness at all. They just saw what they saw. Perhaps just as sensational as another report from Phantoms and Monsters from back in 1977 in a rural farming community in the U.S. state of West Virginia. The witness was apparently just a boy at the time and claimed that his grandfather often spoke about large, strange animals roaming about the property, with the old man taking to constantly keeping a gun with him at all times. The grandfather also told the boy to always lock his window at night and to be careful when walking around outside at night. One evening, the boy heard something outside his window as his grandfather fell asleep in the living room with his gun on his lap. And the boy said he could hear a low growling past the window, but he couldn't see anything. The report says of what happened next. The witness looked and saw nothing in the window. He then went to get some candy from a bowl in the living room, and that's when he observed a claw coming in through the window, palm facing down as it was going to push the window up. The witness clearly saw 3 fingers. The middle finger was the longest. Years later, he claimed the fingers reminded him of the claws of the creature in Krampus, specifically the scene where he pointed his finger in the woman's face. He screamed in fright, which woke up the grandfather. The creature also screamed. The grandfather went into fight mode and proceeded to hit the creature's fingers with his gun. The witness grabbed a knife from nearby and also stabbed at the fingers. At that moment, the grandmother rushed in the room and turned on the outside light, which lit up the yard. The witness could see the creature clearly standing in the window. He even looked into its eyes. The creature took off running just as the grandfather raised his gun to shoot it. According to the witness, the creature appeared to be angry and was growling as it ran. The witness acknowledged that he had wet himself during the exchange. At some point, the grandmother stated that the creature had returned. "It's back," she said, which surprised the witness. They proceeded to tell him that the creature had been seen around the property 3 years earlier, but had left. They assumed it had been killed. It had only started appearing again some 2 weeks earlier. This upset the witness, as he had been playing on the property and should have been alerted to it. The grandparents told him that in 1974, the grandfather was in a deer stand bow hunting when a strange creature attempted to climb the tree and entered the stand through a door latch. The grandfather shot at it and stabbed at it, but it never stopped coming. Eventually, it attempted to poke its nose through the opening in the stand. That's when the grandfather stabbed it in the nose. It managed to get a paw through and slash the leg of the grandfather. The creature fled after that. He got his lick in as well. The scar was very visible on the nose of the creature standing at the window. As well, the grandfather also had a large scar on his leg. The grandfather claimed he waited in the stand for 3 hours before feeling safe enough to climb down and leave. They had never heard of a dog man at the time, so they just referred to it as werewolf. According to this report, over the coming weeks, there would be found dead farm animals on the property, apparently having been mauled by something very large and fierce. One day, when the grandfather failed to show up to pick him up from school, he walked home to find the old man dead in his truck, mauled in a similar fashion as the farm animals. Supposedly, the police would come to the conclusion that the man had died from an attack by an unknown animal.